Hi everybody, we're gonna get started. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to City of Phoenix's virtual speaker series. I'm here at Mountain View with Mary Lou and Gardner Gale, who are from Keep Phoenix Beautiful. Tonight, we're going to go over some basic gardening skills that will benefit to everybody, whether you garden a lot or something you're just getting into. So I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
Here, and I've been with Phoenix Beautiful 5 years,
Yeah.
6 years, 5 or 6 years. So, and my background is water conservation.
Hi, I'm Garden Gale. We've been here about 5 years, and I used to work for the city of Phoenix for Public Works, and my passion is composting and soil and all that good stuff. So I'm here tonight to share my thoughts on how to start compost, how to start your garden, because you got to lay a good foundation. So can I begin?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hey, I'm going to take my mask off because it's better for me. So everybody, Arizona soil, I'm going to show you the soil. Arizona soil is not that bad. It has a lot of good stuff in it, but what is lacking is nitrogen and good good nitrogen to richen it up, because nothing will grow much in this except maybe sunflowers or water or wildflowers, but this is it needs nutrient. So what we do here at Mountain View, we compost. Even the community comes in and brings in their compost. We dump it in here, we water it. This pile is, oh, excuse me, pile is ready to go. See how rich that is? And all that is uh chickens, or I'm sorry, kitchen scraps and newspaper, cardboard, plant debris, all that good stuff. Cardboard, you take cardboard and shred it up. So this is what you get, is this wonderful compost. And one thing I want to show you, very important, this is our kitchen scraps that we throw into the garbage. This is so bad for our landfills. It produces a methane gas that pollutes our air. So I'm trying to get everybody to learn how to compost and do compost in their backyard, because we're going to we're helping save the earth. And all this great stuff can go back into the soil and give us 100% gold, pure gold fertilizer. So you don't have to go to the big box stores and buy chemical fertilizer. This is great stuff. So this is kitchen scraps, but this is what the finished product look like. So you put this with your gardens, with your regular soil outside, you mix it. I would say, I would go 1/3 and then the other part 1/3 for your mixture. But you'll tell, and just mix this into your dirt, and you'll get great soil. Now this composting that we have here is called hot composting. So it likes to get hot, and you'll even see steam come off of it. You have to turn it, and you put a lot of water, you have to water it, because if you just let it sit there, it'll take forever to compost. We can compost in 2 months and have this beautiful stuff because we turn it. I have a garden volunteer that comes and he turns it and he waters it, and it's amazing stuff. And the gardeners love it because as you can see, we have potting soil, and then they can come and get their own and mix it into their garden. Fertilize, well, all the time, but you need to feed your plants every 2 weeks. They need nitrogen, they need all that good stuff every 2 weeks. And all you got to do is just take a little bit and sprinkle on them. And I believe in layering, chillering, and all that stuff, because you're messing up those good things that are forming. So you want to keep them. That white stuff you see, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, there's mold in my garden. If you got that stuff in your garden, you got gold. So appreciate that. So the worms, I'm going to show you the worms. These guys eat the compost. These are for cold composting. These guys will eat, they like all your table scraps. They like coffee grinds, they like tea, they like crackers, cereal, but you can't add oil, butter, meat, that kind of stuff. And if you smell this, if you could smell it, it doesn't smell. It smells rich gold earth. So these guys are my friend. These are cold composting worms, and they can't get real hot. I have a challenge in the summertime here to keep them alive, but they like this weather. So you're really good. But to believe it or not, there's a shortage of worms right now because everybody's into gardening. So red wigglers are your best composting worms. These are earthworms and they area compost. This is the red wigglers. But the earthworms, hotter temperatures. These are good guys. I had gardeners telling me, my garden is full of worms because they got rid of to start with. And that's why, they come back. So that's all about composting. If you have any questions, just glad to answer them to the best I can. But this is passion about it, and I wish everybody would compost because this is so important for our earth. So have a good evening. Happy gardening.
All right. Over here. All right. So next up, we're gonna do how soil ready to plant.
So, well, she's going to talk about your soil and how to get it ready to plant. Mostly she's covered that with your composting, and you mix it and get it a good basic bed before you start your planting. The first thing you have to do, though, before you start putting in soil and things like that, is that you want to choose your location and where you're going to put your garden.
Right.
A number of things that you need to consider when you're doing that. Is it easy access for you to get in? Do you need a raised bed so that you have depth of soil, or do you have good soil where you can dig down deeply? Where's the sun going to be at in the morning and in the afternoon? Because you get that hot sun and something's planted up next to a wall in the afternoon, it can burn up your plants. Doesn't mean you can't have an east or a west facing wall to be planting, but you're going to have to do some things to make that easier for your plants, because it can be really, really tough on them. Our summers get so hot. So you need to choose what you're doing. So first of all, look at your location, go around, think about a raised bed. They have become very, very popular. Here we have concrete beds that have been built up. We were really lucky that the Sunny Slope Alliance had these prepared before we came in. A lot of people build them with wood or a concrete block and things, and get it up so that you've got it. So you've got at least 18 to 24 inches of soil that you can use, whether it's in the ground or above. So you want to make sure that you do that. And you mix in all of the compost and things to make your good earth to be doing your planting. So then the next thing that you need to do is you need to decide what plants you want. And for something like vegetables or flowers, most of the things that we're talking about will apply to either one. You want to do seasonal plants. If you're going to be doing vegetables, you need to make sure that it's something you're going to eat, that you choose the right plants for our climate. There are some things, people love these big heirloom tomatoes, and they're gorgeous, and the big ones that you do for hamburgers. They don't grow really well in Phoenix because it's so hot, and you have to be really consistent with your watering, and you have some problems. So make sure whatever plant you choose, that you choose a variety that fits for our climates and that you pick seasonally. And one of the things that's really nice is that we have two different for us. One is from the University of Arizona, and it's the extension, and I'll talk a little more about them because it's a great resource, and I'll talk a little bit about them at the end. Another one is from the Urban Farm, and their plant finder, and you can find their website at urbanfarm.org, and it shows you on here month by month what to plant, things that you need to know about it so that it works well, so that you know seasonally what you're planting, and also think about what you're going to eat. People love zucchini, and they'll go and they'll plant like 3 zucchini plants. All of a sudden, they've got to give everybody in their neighborhood zucchini because they are very prolific. So that is something to consider when you're doing it. Right now, we are in a season it's root vegetables, carrots, beets, uh, what other root vegetables?
Radishes.
Radishes, yes, radishes,
Lettuce.
and all of your leafy greens, lettuce, spinach, kale, those kinds of things, and also herbs. It's a good time for planting most of the herbs. You have to look at that. So check on that seasonally, and then when it's change of seasons, when it's ready to plant for spring, that's when you do your beans, your peas, melons, all of those types of things. People want to plant pumpkins. Pumpkins you plant in July. That's one of the few summer crops that are really great, so that you have your pump for Halloween. So look at that, and these are great references. They're on the website, on their websites. You can print them out. It's fabulous. So that is one thing to think about. So when you're getting ready to plant, the other thing that you have to do is you have to be really patient, because different plants take different times to germinate and grow. You know, I was complaining earlier today because we've planted some plants for the Desert Mission Food Bank. Radishes are coming up like crazy. They've germinated. They're like 2.5, 3 inches high. My carrots, we don't even see yet. So you just have to know different things grow at different times, and you just have to be ready for that. So it's true across everything. So that's one thing.
And the weather plays a big.
Yeah, and we are totally out of whack this year. Totally out of whack. You know, and what's going to be interesting for our plants is, you know, it was blazing hot last week, and all of a sudden it got really cold. So they're going to stop for a minute and kind of think about what the weather is, because the nighttime temperatures impact how plants grow. And then it's going to warm up again, and they're going to be confused again, but they'll start growing again. So they're like people. Plants are like people. Everything, but the way they grow and how the water moves through them, like our blood system and stuff like that. So that is one thing to think about. So you have any questions about that?
I don't have. So this soil is mixed in with the dirt from Arizona, correct?
Right.
Nice.
This is a mix of soil. It's got the compost in it. We'll probably add a little bit more because we haven't planted in here yet. I haven't put in the irrigation system, but we'll probably put in a little more compost. Then we're going to start planting in here pretty quickly. So, but you can see it's, you know, a lot of it's like Gales, but you get down in it.
Because you have to have drainage and you have to
Yeah.
have all that good stuff. One thing I want to say about the soil is when you're finished with your garden, it's always good to put wood chips on top because it holds the moisture,
Or mulch.
especially in the summer.
Some type of mulch.
Yeah.
And preferably organic, not rock or gravel.
Yeah.
So is there a difference between using cement and wood for the raised beds?
No, I don't think so. The only thing about wooden beds is if you're not careful about watering and how you water them, you're going to lose, the water's going to drain out a little bit more. But you're going to line it. We don't lose as much water out of the block beds. But if you're careful and you don't overwater, you water on and let it sink. And water again, you're going to be okay in a wood bed.
And do you put anything at the bottom? I know sometimes you put like rocks or something.
No, I wouldn't put rocks in. Now, one of the things that we have done here, because we're in a park setting, is we have squirrels and other little creatures. So there's something called hard cloth, and it's just a mesh that we put down on the bottom. It's steel, and we just rolled that out before we put it in. This bed, because it was so high, I think we did add some things to it because it's really deep. But we did this one on purpose. The purpose of this bed, if you look at this one compared to the others, it was done so that people that aren't comfortable bending over and stuff are going to be able to garden here. They can do it standing, because when you're on the other side, it's much closer to a height of somebody that they're comfortable without bending over. And that is something to consider when you're doing building a garden bed. The other thing is you can build mobile ones and where they are, but it's going to take, you've got to build them still really deep so that you get that 18 to 24 inches of soil, or you're going to wind up with stubby little carrots. So, all right. So once you've decided what you're going to plant, it's how you plant. And on the backs of, I have really unusual things here. I have what they call dragon tail radishes. This is a really different type of radish that I found today, and I thought it was just kind of interesting. But on the back are instructions, and you want to follow the instructions on how deep to plant. Um, and it's kind of like the seeds, like carrot seeds are tiny, tiny little seeds. So you only want to go down about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 an inch. You don't want to go any deeper because you don't want them down so deep that they can't get enough water and then push up through the ground. You go into beans, you're going to get down to where you're talking about anywhere from a 1/2 an inch down to even 1 1/2, depending on the site. Lima beans will go deeper. Corn will be kind of in the middle. And so you look at that and see how much you're going to be digging down to do it. The other thing to remember is when you're looking at your pack is it'll also tell you how far apart to plant. And it's really, really important to know how big that mature plant is going to get. It's important whether you're dealing with flowers or you're dealing with vegetables and fruits and trees, is how big something's going to get. And it goes all the way across on planting, right? Because you want it to be able to mature, but you don't want it so crowded together. I have a great photo of carrots, and they are so intertwined because they were planted, just seeds were all clumped, and nobody thinned them. And the plants have started to mature, and they're getting up. Keep an eye on them. Don't be afraid to thin them out and pull out space and getting them spaced, because that's how you get the big sizes. Nobody wants a carrot that big. Good, fat carrots. And so you want to put them in, and once they do, and you're going to put a lot of seeds in on something like carrots or radishes, because not all seeds are going to germinate. And so once they really start growing and you watch them, start pulling them out so that you get them all spaced out, so that you get good quality return for what you've put in. Because the seeds are cheap, but you're putting a lot of water into it, you're putting a lot of time, and your time is worth a lot. So you want to get something back that works well. So watering, that's the other critical thing. In our garden, we haven't set it up here, we have a timer. You can see where we have a timer on the garden. We haven't laid out the tubing. We find various types of systems. Here, I like that where it's inline and the emitters are inside the tubes. And for certain kinds of crops, that works really, really well. Other crops, there's little button emitters that go on the tubes and will spray out a little more. And then another one is where we get what we call spaghetti. And you get these long tubes and then you get an emitter on it and do that. So you need to look at that. And that's a whole class on talking about watering. But you want to get what's right for what you're planting. My recommendation is to go to a nursery that deals in vegetables and fruits, if that's what you're planting, because they will know what are the right types of emitters and things to put in your garden. And then you want to be consistent in your watering. Now, when you first plant your seeds, or if you're planting little transplants, you're gonna water a lot. Like with seeds, especially if it's warm, you're gonna water twice a day, lightly, but you're gonna water twice a day. As they germinate and you come up, then you can cut it back to once a day. And then as they continue to go, then you can increase your watering time as long as you're not drowning them. If you find that your bed is leaking out or the soil is drying out too fast, if you can set it up so that you water twice a day, do that. One thing though to keep in mind is in the summertime, and we have hot, hot nights, the plants are not going to absorb that water as easily, because it's just like a person's blood vessel system. When it gets hot or it gets extremely cold, it tightens up. Well, the stoma in your plants does the same thing, and so the water will not flow. When you do watering, your food, your nutrients come in through the roots in the water and are stored in the leaves or in the fruit. And so if it's too hot, You're not, it's just not going to get there if you're, especially if you don't have appropriate plants for that season. So that is something to really consider. Do you think of anything else about the
One
water?
thing, yeah,
Go ahead.
the plants don't like to drown
Yeah, for the water.
because that, I know, I've been gardening forever, and if you water too much, you'll kill your plant because they like their feet kind of dry.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I always tell people. They don't like to swim, they like their feet dry. So keep that in mind.
Now, an exception to that is when your water is an herb garden, especially in the summertime, they like to be flooded like once a week or once every 2 weeks and then stop and then do it again. So when I say flooded, you know, you get it to where it's standing and then let it go. You want that water to go deep, and that's the way they don't want to be watered lightly every day. That deep watering is really, really good for them. Deep watering is always good.
Yeah.
The other thing that people love to plant tomatoes, and like we said, the heirloom tomatoes, they're not the best for our climate. Small tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, small Romas, grape tomatoes, the little ones are better for our climate. But the thing you have to do with tomatoes is water them consistently. Don't overwater. Don't be flooding them one day and then let them go, because people get very, very frustrated because they'll get the splits in their tomatoes, and that's why it's the unstandard watering system that you put on with it. So you want to do it, but not overwater, and you just have to keep an eye on it. You'll increase the water as it gets hotter, but you still want to keep it so that your soil is not stopping wet. So she's right that you don't want to do that.
Lavender everybody loves to grow lavender, but they don't like their feet wet. They like to be dry. So that's the secret about growing lavender. You got to keep their feet dry. You know.
So how are we doing on time? Let's see what we need to go to. Okay. So the plants in. Can you do it? When it comes to harvesting your food, the best time, especially for things like oranges, lemons, tomatoes, in the springtime, is you want to harvest in the afternoons, because they get watered in the morning. In Arizona, always water in the morning. You don't want to water in the middle of the day, like they do in the Midwest about mold or mildew, because we're so dry. So water in the morning. Those plants will go in, they drink it up, and it moves up into the fruit, and that's when you get your sweetest pick. So you get the best flavored tomatoes, you get the best flavored citrus fruit, watermelon, anything like that is really doing it in the afternoon. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk to you about water. I think that pretty much covers that on water. So, oh, no, I do know one last thing about watching how much you water is, and I was talking about thinning down. Water, no matter where it is going to go to the path of least resistance. You know how a flood will come and it'll just go down and it'll move things around and push it around? Well, it's the same way in the plants. And it's easier for plants to grow leaves than it is to grow fruit. So that's one of the things, is keep your plants under control, so you don't want to let them go wild. And then you'll get more fruit, because you want to force that water to go into the flowers and then into the fruit or the vegetables, and then you'll get a bigger harvest. So that's something to keep in mind.
And feed them.
And
Feed them every couple weeks.
every couple weeks,
Yeah.
right?
Just sprinkle on top, right?
Yep, just
Right.
compost. Yeah, feed them,
So,
because they like to be fed. You know.
so,
Yeah.
so you want them to have light. Especially when it comes to vegetables, edible crops, they don't want shade. They want light. So you want to do that. But there are times that you're going to have to cover them. In the summer, actually, we did allow vines to grow across a lot of the gardens, and it protected the plants underneath. You can do a cover over them in the summer, a frost cloth, if you know it's going to freeze. Don't let that frost cloth touch the plants. You want it raised up. however you can do that. You can use sheets, you can buy garden crosscloth, you can use towels, you can do anything you want. Just keep it off of the plants, and then when the sun comes up, take it off because they want that light.
Yeah.
It's part of what they do. They want. So, and then you just keep things growing. And if you do your planting, like you plant some carrots and you wait a couple weeks, you plant more carrots and keep your crops going
Good
throughout
idea.
the season so that you don't wind up with one.
Very smart.
So you can have it. That's one of the things that we're going to do for the food bank is to make sure that we have crops that are growing so that we have a pretty consistent thing through the season so that they can do it. The point is to help feed people. So, now one thing is there's bugs. Bugs are part of the liver. So keep an eye out. Some things are good, some things are bad. Aphids are not great. Try to find natural ways to clean up things like aphids, soap and water. One of the things we like to do is we plant marigolds in between our crops. It's a now I would say it's perfect for everything, but it'll work. And so it's other plants that you can put in. You'll find them online that you can do that. But it's great for that. If you're in a garden like with tomatoes, see these big green worms, pull them off and get rid of them. Smash them, trash them, whatever you need to do. But you want worms and some things that just get rid of them and get them off. Aphids, get them off. A lot of people in the late spring start getting squash bugs on things like zucchini and things. You want to keep an eye out on that and get them out of there. Another one is spider mites that you get in, and you'll start seeing little webs and you'll see yellow spots and things. So look for that and see if you're getting pests. So you want to clean that out. So the one thing that I do want to tell you is gardening is a lot of fun and we have tons of resources to do it. And one of the things I talked about was that we have the calendars, which is really great. But there is a great resource at the extension office. Every county has an extension office. We have one here in Maricopa, it's down on Broadway. And they have master gardeners. Gail and I are both master gardeners. We go through 4 weeks of classes and cover everything about that you need to know about gardening, whether it's plants, whether it's flowers or it's edibles, whatever. They have a chat line that's open. It's an easy thing to find. Google, just type in Master Gardeners Maricopa, and you will be able to find that. And they have all kinds of information. The calendar is on their website, and that you'll see in the search thing, you just put in AZ 1005-2018, and that's because they've updated it in 2018. And this calendar will come up for you, and you can print it out. A much smaller version. Depending on what this is. It's just I got this, so you can see this. They have all kinds of information on there. They can tell what types of tomatoes have probably bugs. There's people that are there. They have a lot of great papers on all kinds of information. So use it. It's free. The master gardeners are there. That's the purpose of being a master gardener, is to be able to help educate people on growing things and taking care of your yard and your food and how you want to do it. So do use that. It's a great resource. The other thing is there are tons of books that are good. Arizona. This is about it's a whole series of great books. And they have a large one about this size for gardening here in Arizona in the Southwest. It comes from the Southwest. So Sunset Magazine has put out some great things to do. This is Desert Gardening. This is by George Workman. He's a professor down at the U of A in Tucson, and he's been around. My mother used to talk to him, and so they were good friends. So he's been around a long time, and he has written a great book. There is an herb society and they have books that you can purchase, and they're a great resource for things if you're dealing with herbs. Herbs are very different on how you handle them from vegetables. They're a really good resource. Like you can't put herbs and vegetables on the same water system because one or the other is no soda. So that's a great resource. And there are so many others. Plus, Fast Gardens have tons of information. So we really do recommend that you contact them, look it up, use them as a resource because you can use so much more getting knowledge. And there's so much on the internet. Just make sure if you're on the internet, you want low desert because that's our area. You know, what grows well here doesn't grow well in Flagstaff. Uh, even Tucson and Arizona and Phoenix have a little bit of difference in their elevation, and some things will grow better in Tucson than here, but there's other things that we do better here than there. So it all depends. So doing your research, getting your knowledge before you even start is really going to give you the most success in having gardening, and it makes it really fun. You don't want to get frustrated because something isn't working right. And if it isn't working, rip it out and find something else. Don't give up. Yeah, exactly. Don't give up. Don't give up. And it takes some time. Like Al says, you gotta have patience, but it's well worth doing. So, and I think that's about it, unless you've got some questions. Ask the audience if they have any questions, go ahead and type them in the chat box. I have a question. Sure. I have an orchid that keeps dying. Do you have any advice? I have an orchid? Yeah. I water by putting in the ice cube. Yeah. And don't try to not flour. But I find because sometimes people say, oh, just soak it. I find putting an ice cube on them every other day. That's good. And I got my like 7, and then they all one by one they're falling off. I had it for about a month and a half. And they don't like to run. So maybe on a counter by a window, but don't put it right because those roots stay green. Okay. Cool. That's enough. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, what can we do with our pumpkins? Oh, pumpkins. After Halloween. Bring them over to us. She's gonna compost them. Yeah. We're gonna chop those up and stick them in the compost. Yeah. They're perfect. They're absolutely perfect. And the worms love squash and melons and all that kind of stuff. They'll eat through that. They can eat their body weight in a day. Wow. Yeah. They're pretty awesome. Yeah. So, and one of the things to remember about composting, if you've got vegetables, fruit, stuff that's in your refrigerator, it's rotten, it's moldy, doesn't matter. Bring it in. We're lucky we've got 3 little barrels up there, and Gail lets me just they hopefully in a plastic bag. So. Yeah, they can dump it in every day. I take it to the back and work it out. But we gotta stop throwing this stuff in the landfill. Yeah. That's my mission. We gotta stop. Europe is so far ahead of us. They don't throw. Do they have compost separate from their trash recycling? Oh yeah. Over I took a trip to Costa Rica. Their recycling there, even though it's a poor country, is top notch. I was blown away. They even everywhere they don't styrofoam. Everything is compostable. No plastic forks or bags or anything because they have nowhere. Where are they going to put it? They're surrounded by water. So we gotta take care of our earth. That's my story. Well, and the thing to know is the city of Phoenix does composting. Yes, they go through and they collect greens out of the parks and some things like that, and it's like an avenue. Yeah, they have a company called there's a company that actually takes it all in. We Care. That's the name of it.
and they take in all the greens and chop it all up. Wonderful stuff.
That's where we got some of our soil when we were first starting because we had to bring stuff in. And so, we care is where we got it from our wood chips that are here on the ground that we use for mulch. It's really, city's really good about it. Really, they do a really good job.
But we can always do better. Yes, absolutely, especially when it comes to composting and recycling. I think
Come bring your compost right to this lovely community garden. Thank you everyone for joining